There we go, I think. Let's see if we got... raise that up a little bit. And we should be up and running and everything working. Yeah, Sir Doder, you are just on time. Hello everyone, and welcome to a Strange Loop Games stream. We are going to be running over with some of the cozy stuff. Apparently my info text for this particular scene went haywire, so it is what it is. I have a few slight issues going on right now. My Unity decided to kind of crap itself, so I'm still waiting for that to load up properly. So what we are going to be doing is popping in a little bit on localhost. See if I can actually connect to the server and do this. Seems to be working. Yeah, so welcome. Name is Jens, working as lead game designer for anyone that hasn't seen me around before. Yeah, we are gonna take you on a crazy, wild exploratory route through the cozy update world objects, or the larger volume of it. Yeah, I've been thinking around a lot with some of my settings, and I noticed that Windows since we all know that Windows tends to be a little bit argumentative with the user about the settings the user should be using. So one of the things that I was struggling with was microphone volume, as you heard before. My microphone volume settings on OBS is cranked up the top. People could still barely hear me. Cranked up the volume in Windows. It was working moderately. And then I figured out that you had an embedded other volume in the microphone inside the actual hardware settings for the microphone that Windows decided to pull down to 23%. Cranked up to 100%. Now I have actual control over the audio level in the software side of things on OBS. So yeah, good stuff. If it wants to let me into the world, please. Mister, let me join. We're gonna need to do a client restart, maybe. So yeah, we are. Yeah, Windows is like the mother, always knows best. It is spectacularly sneaky, and there's like hoops and jumps, and then the fact that they've removed all of those like easy access hardware settings from the general control panel and layered them under other weird unintuitive UI, so you have to push 27 buttons to get there. Not helping it. And we are still kind of waiting for Unity to boot up, but I am trying to get the local build. We're doing a little bit of a branch dancing this stream, so we're getting there. And not sure. Good evening. Nice to see people chatting on YouTube as well. It tends to be a little bit calmer there than Twitch. Twitch tends to be pretty active throughout. Come on. Please connect. Please let me in so we can show cool, fancy things. Or are you just not wanting to work with me today? It really doesn't want to do things. You know what? Let's do that and let's restart the server. See if it wants to play nice. Do that, log in. Gonna a little bit of a rundown. The change in Unity version is absolutely astronomical. Substantial doesn't cover it. It is now that there are a couple of things that we are still working on converting over to, not just like slapping into the new Unity. Make sure that the shaders are working. Making sure that all of our custom world building code is working with the new architecture improvements that Unity have made. It is also allowing us to move over to another render pipeline, which will allow us to do better lighting while still having a better performance increase. So it's pretty huge. Let's see that. Well, this is going to be fixing the water block mechanic. The Unity upgrade itself is not going to fix it. but it will allow us to do new stuff with water and like all the visual parts of it. So dealing with things like weird mesh mixing and like the face cutoffs and stuff like that with new rendering systems. And why on earth is it doing this? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Might have to boot up in the other Unity version first while this is still loading. So it decided it wanted to do a full import, which takes forever, and it's been going on for like 50 minutes. So we might just have to do this. And I didn't want to because I'm not sure how well that is working on staging. Well, you know, having issues on stream is a part of doing streams. We cannot live without them. The problem here was I needed to do a freaking cleanup. Let's do that, save you there, replace that, and go. Might as well ask while we're waiting. Outside room accepts decorations and seatings, but there's no decorations that work on the outside, and only plastic tables works as seating. Is this WAD? So the one of the things that we are adding with the cozy update is just more decorative stuff, and I think one of the really big changes that we are looking into in terms of just general player experience and general player interactability for like the core housing system is that we're looking to remove a lot of the M3 requirements. So you are going to be able to place a whole lot more decorative pieces around in your house. But as with the update, we are also adding a whole bunch of new decorative pieces in general. That build just did not want to play nice. So let's switch that around then. Let's see if we can do this, and let's pull up. Oh boy, that was loud. Holy smokes. Did that work? Are you going? We'll do this in the meantime. Where is my staging branch? And you know you want to be running that. Let's switch over and do staging quickly on the other one, because that'll be loading way faster. It might have there are a few issues I had with the staging branch working on it last night that was causing some issues, so do bear in mind that there are a few kind of pending in progress items. and everything is super actively being worked on. So I was hoping to show up some Unity 6, but it is not wanting to play nice. So let's get the staging build up. Why are you... Come on. Let me start. Let me start. Rider. Ah, it's still loading. Loading projects. Ignore. Load that back up. Thank you. Stuff takes a little bit to switch around. So let's switch that up. Can we do? So, this was excitable stream. Let's go. Can we get this working? Unity, you are downloading. Pretty please. And why is Rider taking so long caching? Almost. There we go. So that is staging Unity up. Can we get Rider to play nice now? Where was I on the coast? Yeah, so one of the bigger part of it is to allow people to do more unique customization and more cool decorative things. And I showed off some of the pre-placement stuff on the stream, on the community stream during Sunday's visit to with Seth and the guys. There we go. Now Rider finally decided to play nice, so the server is booting up, and Unity is also actually rolling. So let's switch over to the fantastic black screen here. Assuming this is wanting to roll in. So a few changes that is going to be coming here for the more technical parts. We are reducing. Let's go some code stuff. So this is a file that is accessible in the regular server folder, and this part here is determining the general soft cap, hard cap, and the tier value for the different room types, or the room tiers, I should say. And previously you would get, when you are over the soft cap and placing more decorative pieces, it would be a 50% diminishing return flat out on all things across the board. That diminishing return is being lowered slightly, so it is going to be harder to reach the hard cap. But we are removing the square meter requirements for a large volume of the decorative pieces. So you are going to be able to add more things in your house. The second part is we are also reducing the amount of points you get from having multiple rooms without more residents. So you're not gonna get as much out of building a second room of the same type of housing, or the third room, as one of the issue being, if you looked at the hard cap values, if you only have one floor and all 5 rooms maxed out, you get 250 skill points. But if you then add a second and a third floor, you suddenly bump up to 400 points, and then added further value on top of that with the food bonuses and everything else. So you could get really extensive and really high score wise from just adding more furniture that was essentially maintenance free, and you know, the whole housing being a permanent upgrade versus food that is only a temporary upgrade to your skill points. Yeah, essentially. It's a little bit of both. So it is, because we're removing a lot of the restrictions for placing stuff that has value in your house. It is gonna be requiring you to use more of it, rather than just removing the restriction completely and then go bam. Anything to control the plaques a bit more specifically for town halls? Could you expand on that a little bit? I'm not sure what you are looking for. Oh boy. Oh really? You decided to actually wake up now? Oh, that's nice. So I get the that is just the plaques blowing up culture radiuses of towns have been hard to manage server wise. The point value for the plaques should be manageable in the script for the plaques. It might make sense to move some of that over into a general global modifier. We can definitely take a look at that. So that was interesting. So if we can do this, now that everything is kinda working, I don't want to check that out. I want to open up the developer and server, because apparently the Unity 6 decided to actually just go, hey, now we're done loading. So that is cool, which means we need to wait for that one to stop messing around. But we can do some sneak peeks in the meantime while we're waiting, because let's move the scene over there. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's get rid of you. We don't need to have the AI stuff there because that is just built in with Unity 6. So something we have been looking into, that we're going to be looking at here as well. Not sure how much they're working in general on the build, because Toby was going to take a look at them. Like, they're looping animation, they're not showing text properly, so there are still a few quirks to deal with. But one of the for housing and for interactability between players and everything else, one of the big problems we had is things like not being able to get trading going fairly early. Like, you need a full-fledged house to kind of get going. The Adobe mitigated it quite a lot, but it can still be a little bit daunting. So and for the housing part of it, we felt that it was kind of weird with you kind of having to mock up a window. You need to kind of cheat your way to be able to access it through the wall, unless you did like a walk-in store. And we did try out to have a store window access point thing through the regular block sets, but they kind of ended up in the carpet block sets because we wanted them to have somewhat of a flavor uniqueness to them. So they end up way too late. No one's really using them. So we went back on the idea of keeping it to the world object realm, so it's an actual placeable object rather than a block set block form type that's kind of tucked away and making it a little bit harder to understand. So we decided to get some cool looking actual window shop, like actual store window shop fronts kind of thing. The lighting is a bit weird. Let's do that. So we have these new cool 2x2 or 2x1 or 3x2 full blocks that is interactable, and they open up, so you kind of slot them into your walls. And we are, with the free placeable stuff, we're also disassembling the old store. So the old store, like the whole table and the cash register and the scales and everything else, those are being disassembled. So they are their own unique objects. You can place them out wherever you want them. Do not want to be... Are you're nice? Yes, thank you. You are running. Let's see if that actually loads up properly so we can get some of this going. Let's grab that store window animator. There we go. Oh boy, that was freaking loud. Hope that wasn't causing explosions. Yeah, so that is one of the things that we're kind of looking at. So if we wanted to remove the room requirements on the store, some of those store assets, to turn them into something that you can just have a table, you can just plonk it down on the table, and bam, there's your store. Instead of you having to kind of muck about with the whole thing and deal with that, which would allow you to do multiple stores on a single table. And we could have the store representative being different items. So the scales would be a type of store, and then the cash register would be another. So you could add a much more kind of neat looking decorative things, add a little bit of exploration. And people could really kind of design their stores entirely how they want. Is the server running now? Yes, look at that, beautiful. Can we actually get in on it and show some of it? Yeah, it would also let us do like little markets as decorations and so on. Best part of this upgrade so far. Let me see if I think Toby did move some of that part. If I have some great mod ideas for research mechanics and start to work on a mod for it, who in SLG could be interested about it, and where could I post? Where can I post about it? I can explain the mechanics used, my vision for this mod. I've already working on beta on my server, and players are really happy about it. Just shoot me a DM on Discord. Because most of that just runs through me. I'll reiterate and kind of go over it and dissect what could be usable for the base game and what is not, and then I you know, push it forward to John in a more like game design presentable logic, so he can kind of go through the different parts of it and approve it or not. See if it wants to play NAS. Anything that helps the world look a little bit more living is always appreciated. Would love easier markets, maybe a table with a storage chest so you can have a public district for market. Yeah. It's been something that has always kind of been in the back of my mind looking at this. Like, it would be nice to have like some farmer markets fresh, you know, crop display store kind of thing and whatnot, where you could just have it out in the open, and deal with some of that things, and some of those restrictions have always been in the once the housing, but also just because assets have been very rigorously locked to either the tile set, you can't really get things the way you want them to do. So there's been a lot of creativity lost because of the structured hardness of these things, and moving into a more free-form placement style that we are doing with the Cozy update. So you have free, like actual free world placement of everything rather than the tile set placement. And we are looking into having like a hotkey bind to still lock it to the grid. And please, Unity, can we load? Why is that's still working fine? It's just being a bit precarious. Oh, you're probably fine with starting a run right now, because we are still working with a lot of the technical changes and the technical upgrades with Unity. So there's still gonna be a bit before this comes out, and once we have a date, it'll, you know, we'll most likely have a playtest run through it, because it's a lot that is gonna be coming into this. Not just in terms of the Unity upgrades, so we wanna get help to test it out on a large variety of different hardware. There we go. Let's see if everything is working all right. Hey, look at that! We are actually mobile and in game, and we have the new Unity upgrade running, but as I said, we're still working on a lot of the new fancy tech stuff. And oh, right, yeah. So you are gonna see a lot of new animal behaviors and changes, and a lot of new noises, because we do have a bit of. Let's see if this is working. Yes, it is. Let me know if it is too loud desktop on the audio side, because it is. We've done some recent audio improvements and new animal sounds and whatever, so hopefully it won't be too terrifying. So next update will be more than just Unity and free placement. There's gonna be there's a whole bunch of bug fixes as always. A lot of more ambience to the game. And yes, so this is also including a lot of the early stage improvements to animal movement and behaviors that we'll be using going forward with the animal husbandry development as well. Do note that it is work in progress. Some things are going to be looking kind of wonky. Switch this out to time noon so we can get some lighting. And I mean, I could probably do just like all the animal changes. And yeah, the LODs for the animals are a little bit misplaced, so you do see floating ones in the distance while they are walking on ground. Another question: when will we have the ability to add sounds to our mods? Ooh, I'm not entirely sure how the new stuff in Vivox works, or how much of that would be extended modability, or Vivice. That is very much out of my realm. So that it is more of a Quadbro / Mike question. So this is some of the cool new animations and reactions the animals are doing. While all of that's cool, spec rework / upgrade changes. You're talking about general hardware requirements or just overall technical rundown? When we get black powder weapons for hunting, it is going to be a very hard no. And as mentioned, there's still a couple of quirks going on with the animals. Oh, the star usage and upgrade mechanic. It'll probably it'll be in the future. It's not going to be this update, but if there's going to be an update with that or related changes to that prior to the 1.0 update, I cannot tell you. We also have the new the female elks are now also looking like other elks. So we have these with got a little bit of a change. I wonder how much of this is still working. So, as mentioned, one of the big things with the Cozy update is we want to add more. We want to kind of add more life to the world. We want to make the world feel like it has more depth and more interactability. See if this actually, as you're interacting and like holding food that the animals might find appetizing or be interested in. They might pay you a little bit of a visit. But I'm not sure how much of it John got merged yet. But yeah, so a general more reactions out of the animals and whatnot. So and as you saw with the movements, they're jumping down, they're jumping up, they're not skidding diagonally or doing weird vertical claims. And right now they're not running from me either, so we should be able to use wooden bow. Ew. Arrows. Arrow. Nope. The animal upgrade stuff is still going through some diagnostics, and they're not entirely done yet. But where did the other animals go? We had some wolves over here earlier. Anyway, that's not why you're here. We are here to do some building. I'll give the tool. So let's do a level. Do we want to do that? Yeah. Well, let's just. Some of that's a little bit loud, and I don't know if that's just me. Yeah. So we are gonna do that. Get some space here, and then we're gonna drop down a little building. Get some redwood floors. Have some farming mod also in beta version available on my server with barns and live animals, alpaca barns and cow barns and whatnot. SLG planning to add farm animals to the game? Yes. Mentioned a few times, but animal husbandry is going to be a full thing. And it'll be you will be able to do have animal interactions and poke around, and we've also talked about Some of the difficulties regarding like pets and animals that can follow you and so on, because we do have some Kickstarter goals that we want to get done with. And as always, anything that seems weird in one of these streams is probably a work in progress and not intended to be sounding or behaving that way. Because I do hear a little bit of a shallowness sound to it. Oh, I see. Yeah. It is quite fascinating to finding these little instances of things going around. So the audio level is a little bit... distance is a little bit long. But yeah, so a lot more general animal... nicer animal behavior. Is the DevTool material picker a new feature? No, it's actually been in for a very, very long time. You access it by right-clicking the DevTool itself with the mouse. Let's do another floor. As for roofing and more natural roofing and whatnot, there is a wish from our side to do that, but it does require some other upgrades to be able to deal with how the general housing calculations works and how the room system works. So right now it is doing like a connected block calculation, which reduces the cost performance-wise on it. And if it needs to kind of scratch that link in together with extra spacing and need to figure out how that works in a nice orderly fashion, it's gonna be more costly. So let's do some of that, and let's do give store window, and then we can see all of these things. We can do small stump store window. So we put that away. Did it not get pushed over with the addressable changes? Could have sworn that all of that was fixed. Yeah, window. Give small lumber store window. I might have to go into addressables and actually poke at this because it is in there, but for some reason it is not liking it to exist, which is slightly annoying. Give hardwood lumber hallway table. But this is why you're here. Right? Look at that. Beautiful. And then, of course, you know. See if I can fit that. That's probably not going to fit there. Coffee table isn't big enough. Or the hallway table isn't big enough. Good enough, right? Perfect for serving some hot brew. And give eco book. So from modding perspective, all you really need to declare is what surface an item is allowed to be placed on. And can you put the teacup on the plate? No, because at the moment, because the a surface inside the object need to be declared as having a surface and a collider. If you try to move the table, modern hammer, I believe it was going to prevent you from taking it. So it'll pick up everything that's on the table. But I am gonna be throwing that in on the tray, so it has a surface and you can actually place it. Yeah, so a lot of people have been really confused about the whole place on rug thing, and the reason why that works the way it does was the oh yeah, it seems like all general, like a large bulk of the general objects doesn't really know what to do if they don't have a placement decider on it. So there's a new issue with Unity that didn't exist the other day, or you know, R code in Unity that didn't exist the other day. But basically, in the preview version right now, so in release as is, you have that tag for objects that is placed on rugs, and that works for free placement of objects if you try to place them on rugs. But one of my criterias I wanted to make sure that we had moving forward was, instead of having this arbitrary limitation on only being able to freely place things on a rug, if you try to place them anywhere else, it would be limited to the tile structure. I wanted to make sure that we have a consistent gameplay experience with, if you want to place a furniture any way you want, you should be able to do that. You shouldn't be having this weird arbitrary limit. So the rug thing was very much a test thing, and it's working. It's just disabled by default in the live build. So if you wanted to poke at it and test it out, you can turn it on in the server settings, and then anything that has a designation for being able to be placed on a rug can be freely placed. With that in mind, it does fall under the limitation of, because of the positioning changes and whatever else, it can be quite unsafe in the live build, so you don't want to do that on a live server. When placing all the decorative objects, would it be possible to show the outlines of the collision box so it's easier to see why some objects cannot be placed? Yeah. The old tile set bounding box that's outside, we're probably going to be looking into adapting that for the placement of objects, but in most cases the objects are going to be limited just kind of inside. If you imagine each object being confined by a cylinder, so the outermost points of the object is going to be what's going to holding the collider for it. Can a rug be placed on a rug? If you decide that a rug can be placed on a rug. But yeah, so this whole thing is pretty straightforward. Once you try to pick up something that contains other items, it'll prompt you and it'll try to pick up all of it. If it can't pick up all of it, it's gonna fail. And I'm kind of annoyed over the Windows store's not working here, so I'm gonna poke at that and see what's going on. Right, so some other cool objects and whatnot. We have a bit more new shelves. See if they actually pop up properly. Nope. it is not showing up world objects at all. This is slightly annoying, because this was working yesterday. And I don't know why it's not working, and why it's working for some objects and not others. See if this thing works. Can a rug be placed on another rug? A philosophical conundrum of our time. The same thing with, can a book be placed on a book? Bum bum bum. I don't remember if I enabled it. The little bonsai tree. No, the bonsai tree is not ready yet. It's not ready yet. So I had a request for our art team to disassemble the bonsai a bit. So I wanted just the pot and the tree. So the little coffee support table is going to be its own object. Can we paint these tables in objects? I believe most of them were initially set up with the painting component enabled on them. But I'm not sure all of them are. Yeah. Ooh, what is that thing called? Dev paint tool. There we go. And the other thing, since we are looking into placeables and cool functionality and everything else, essentially anything that is an item is going to be able to be placed on top of a surface. So you can grab your tool and you can place it down on the table. Give copper frame. Give copper frame landscape. And I'm not entirely sure this was enabled yet. The same thing. Anything that is connected to it is going to be swiped. When do we get new aqueducts blocks, like mortared stone, concrete, and ashlar aqueducts? There's no in the pipeline at the moment, and those wolves are viciously trying to eat it. They still haven't consumed it. You know what? Let's just spoil the dinner for them. See, no more food. Disperse, disperse. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of an updated stream on this as well once we get some of the other bits and pieces in where John's currently poking in and fixing up the wall mounting stuff. So you will be able to freely place things on the walls as well with anything that is wall mounted capable. So like all the picture frames, shelves, and everything else. But since we're here, let's take a look and see what's going on with that. Does that mean you can now place an animal carcass to attract wolves? Technically speaking, you should be able to. Yes. That is correct. That be my Discord name. It should be, if you're on the regular Eco Discord server, it's gonna have my actual name, and then just like in brackets it'll be Iceforge. Let's see. Shelf, the prefab. Yeah, why is it is in here and it looks correct. So I'm not entirely sure why it's deciding to is it not? Yeah, it's got the addressables and it's got everything else. So something is going on with world objects in the current build. So I'll need to poke on Mike to see if we can figure that out for Monday. But we can run some of these things in here. Hey, Crazy Cat, how are you doing? Hope you're doing all right. So with these decorative things, you're gonna have a whole bunch new furniture to put things onto. In different shapes. There's veneer versions that is composite crafting. You have smaller basic ones that is more carpentry, and also looking at some basic like logging. So these comes in different styles with hardwood, softwood. And then we have wider and shorter. In different shapes, so you can kind of assemble more things in a fashionable order. And then I kind of I wanted to show up some of the visuals effects for some of the other objects, but since that isn't working, we have since we talked about store stuff. Right. Nice. I will then lure 50 wolves to an enclosed ranch for a zoo. Yeah. So in the preview, it is being a little bit compressed. Go away, lighting. There we go. So these things comes in with if they're connected and have power, they'll have the lighting on. They'll have like a chill effect going on. And some cool stuff. These comes in a chilled and a heated. But I am slightly annoyed over that not working the way I wanted it to work. But we got some of the animal effects out of the way. You know what? Let's hop back to 2023. Because at least the placeables were working and I can show them off. Exciting times ahead for Eco. Yeah, there's this is one of the few updates that's we've been kind of working on, that is very specifically theme focused, and very in depth cater to it. So we're looking at like ambience audio, we're looking at general effects, we're looking at a lot of the visual experiences you have. It's like all the broken animal movements and everything else. So a lot of the local client stuff is moving over to the client. So the server just makes sure that the animal you killed actually existed and it was somewhere where you were. Whereas the calculation for where the animal is visually represented and interacted with falls on the client, to make sure that you don't have a freaking out, warping animal flying all over the place. Am I guessing with this update we don't have any changes to the specialties? You will have changes to like minor balance changes for the general things. But it is going to contain a whole bunch of new decorative items that's a very wide range of professions are going to be able to craft. So you have new pots, new plants. I should have shown that before I hopped off. But you know what? Let's do that for another stream. There's some cool changes with plants and pot usage for more decorative things. But does that mean that the animal that one player sees does not exist for other players? They'll be somewhat synced, but they'll be it's some weird technical client to server smoothness going on. So there might be some general technical things we're gonna have to polish out once we get it into playtest and we see what plans per pot usage. Not that type of pot, Y2K. No. We are talking about a container that you add the dirt and you put a decorative flower in. Yes? That type of pot. We can actually go through. So, for anyone interested on the modding part of it, for the whole placeable system, so for something to be freely placeable and have that like wide free flow stuff on objects, so a model or a game object that's, you know, adding in the world, you have a where is that being set? Why is that missing? What? Okay. Yeah, something went wonky with my import of this. Let's grab that. So essentially, you have a something has definitely gone wrong with my import of this. I'm gonna need to kind of do a full re-import in with this. That's annoying. It is working in here though, so let's pull this up. Refrigerator. Let's pull this up here. Here we go. Here's the colliders and everything actually set up properly. Something broke with my startup in Unity. So you have these additional surface colliders. So you just wanna drop a collider for anywhere you want the interactability for. So in this cabinet, for example, you can freely place anything inside each of these shelves because it has an additional surface collider. And that's essentially all you need to do. And then in the actual object script itself, for it to be placeable, let's grab this one. You just give it a surface tag type. So as long as you just add this to your object, you're gonna be able to freely place stuff on it. And that goes for any type of surface, which means you are gonna be able to place decorative mantle pieces now. You're finally gonna be able to put things on all the tables, all the shelves, all the like the nightstand and cabinets, and you're gonna be able to, you know, place table lights on the tables for once. So, you know, rejoice, decorators, because it is crazy. Yes, all of it works just like any other thing. It's just the world object surfaces are now actually counted as a hard surface. Will it kill performance of the game? Just picturing a chef's store with hundreds of dishes. Yeah. So one of the sneaky tricks that Toby among has been working on is the whole reducing the load on the GPU. Even the little old owl statue, anything that is stated that it can be placed on a shelf. So, which is what I'm going through at the moment, just making sure that all the objects we have that is placeable gets there. But yeah, so one of the things that the art team has been really busy with for the last, I don't know, a year and a half almost. Some of it we've added in previous updates. And that is just mainstreaming more of the textures and sharing the textures between objects. So instead of instantiating like a new texture for every single unique object, a lot of them just shares the same texture, which means the general memory use is significantly decreased. And once we get the new systems in Unity 6 with the new render pipeline, we'll be able to use more efficient GPU culling with all of the other parts as well. Let's see if we actually get to connect to the local world. So items are only placeable on world objects, not on blocks themselves, or would I be able to litter on sand surface? That is actually something we've discussed very recently, like the other day. And please let me know what you think and what you feel like. Can placed items like hammers be sold through objects like vehicles? Yes. And we are also working on a cool little decorative feature. So if you put an object on a table and you put it, you enable that for sale component on it, because once it's on a table and in a world, it is counting as a world object. It is no longer just an item. It is an item that can be a world object without you actually making it into a world object code. Let's see if it actually wants to. Yeah, it's probably going to let me in after a little bit. And when you enable that and when you turn it on, it'll add a little plaque next to the item with the price. So if you set it to, you know, 25 dingo coins, it's gonna say, you know, like 25 on a little plaque next to it. Is there gonna be change to the room categories and supporting categories, seating, decoration, lighting, cultural? I have been looking over housing objects overall, and I am leaning towards separating the seating to have tables as its own part. We kind of need more category types to fit in some of the things, like some of them doesn't make sense. And so on. Did we talk about mannequins and clothes? No. The mannequin stuff and clothes is something we would have liked to be able to do for Cozy, but I don't think we'll have the time for it. Will putting these items for sale have integration with the economy viewer? It is being looked into. And it is looked into if we want it to be its own like in-world sale tab thing, or if we want it to be associated with the store next to it. So this contains some of the chaos I caused when we were having the stream last, or me testing things out, and then some of it is from Sunday. Time noon, so we can actually see something. So this is in the old Unity. So this is the current Unity version. So, you know, take that in mind. And some of them, some of the objects have not. They're not playing nice on my local branch. So we have some new pots, and all the new stuff is placed, but some of them didn't really import well on my local end, but they are working. So you have different small pots in different material types. You've got some larger ones in different material types. You have, and they're going to be not just in stone, but you have some clay ones as well. You've got a hanging one, so you can put that in the ceiling. And complete free placement in the ceiling is also being looked at, so you're going to be able to, you know, place lights however you want and these other decorative things. And we have some of these store windows I talked about. So this is world objects. You got to plonk into a wall and slot them in. And this is part of why we were looking into separating the store, because it'd be kind of cumbersome to then have to have a store on the inside. So if you do this, for example, and you know, you would have it this way. It'd because it's a world object and it has colliders, it's going to be kind of wonky. So having this as separate entities and split up, so each of these assets could be used independently as representative of the store, is going to be cool. So you can take that cash registry and you can put it over here on the left if you wanted to. You could place, you know, plonk down some tomatoes or something on the table and whatever else, and just have that kind of freaking out. And then we have these two bad boys. So we have one that is more of a grill type and one that has more of a chill effect, and they'll emit this if they're enabled. So if they don't have power, see if they actually stop the effect. I have these command edited. We do this, we plonk that down. There we go. Would the cash register do anything specifically? Yeah, so the cash register would be a store. So you would interact with it, and that would open up the store just as you have this thing. So there are a couple of nifty things that we are looking into. And as for where some of these things are being crafted, you have advanced smelting is getting 2 shelves it can craft. All the recipes are pending. But some of it is going into smelting, some of it is going into carpentry, some of it is going into logging, some of it is going into advanced carpentry, and so on, so forth. We've got some books. If you haven't seen the stenographer's table, it is a purely decorative thing. It doesn't have a value or intrinsic functionality, but it is available to craft to kind of spruce up your legislative corner. Composites. Advanced. When my head goes composite, my head goes into the advanced carpentry table, which is where the composite is making stuff. So the veneer shelves and all of that. So we've got a fancy little glass ordained store case. And then we have these. So these are different sized. So this one is 3x2, and this one is, or 2x2. This one is 3x2. And then we have some other decorative pieces. Looking at more of these animal statuettes. So we'll be adding, not necessarily in the cozy update, but we are going to be adding more of these with different animal motifs. Same thing with the gong. And yeah, Satsuki, you finally have some ceramic and porcelain china. So yeah, you know, a whole slew of different things, and we have some of the shelving, and a gong. I am looking into adding functionality to the gong, so similar to the bell, but kind of reworking it a little bit. So you hit it once, and it does its thing, and then, you know, you can hit it again, but it won't have a global freaking radius. It'll be like inside the closest 6-7 tiles or something. It's the globe thing gonna have the current world texture applied to it. The cube, or like a general globe. Yeah, there are some ideas in terms of aesthetics for the gong, and different variations of it and flavor. Would love to see a toroidal world thing, lol, since it is a donut. Yeah, right. A spinning donut on it. Interior of the truck is not pokeable, but we did talk about whether or not we wanted the exterior of the vehicle to have decorative things. We also talked about if we wanted the inside of the flatbed to be able to have decorative things in it. It's currently leaning towards no, simply because it is also utilized as another type of storage. But if people have strong feelings about it, or they have, suggestions, wishes, or wants, pop them in on Discord or on Canny, using the link up top right. Are we gonna get a singing fish to hang on the wall to reduce some room value because it's so tacky? Ooh, that'd be funny though. Hanging talismans up the rear mirror. Yeah, a world globe that reflects your current world. I want that fish. Yeah, there are a few. So for the texture, like if we added the globe, we could do that. It is possible. Because we do have some. Which table is it? Help me out, guys. It is one of the civic tables. Crafted. So yeah, we are all in the Wikipedia. We're also adding some new categories to filter these objects out, so they're easier to find under the reference sheets. The cartography table is one of them, or the zoning desk, or your zoning. Let this be one of them. This globe can probably be propagated with the texture. Since this is the world map. Pictures and maps should be wall sized at 3x3 or 4x3. Yeah, we're with the functionality and changes to the systems. It does allow us to do a lot more and add more decorative pieces that make sense to hang up on a wall, like a clock or more posters or whichever. And give pickaxe, give iron pickaxe. Would have slots in the truck to place tools that are represented as an out of body. That you can right click on your tool to drop in or pick out. Yeah, I think the vehicle tools, adding specific uniqueness to tools and vehicle interactions could be tricky of like a tool like a tool rack for the vehicle, or that like if you have stuff on your person, those gets added to the backpack. So if I have a backpack, bear pack, not back. How am I spelling? What is this? So something similar to how it's adding tool slots to the backpack. If you get into the truck, it kind of dumps your backpack with all the tools in the back or something. Or actual interaction for storing tools as a physical storing on the vehicle itself. You could add a store upgrade for steam trucks and trucks. Yeah, the problem with them at the moment is that they're not modular. So the only vehicle that has a proper systematic modular support is the steam tractor, and it's rigged up in a completely different way. And I would like to convert and rebuild both of them to be able to support modular things. And I would also like to be able to extend that support so you could make modules mod-wise and just kind of tell it that it's a module for the truck and it just gets in there. So you could extend that functionality for modding. But it's probably not going to happen prior to 1.0, if by 1.0. It's one of those things that is on the wish list I'd like to do, but we might not have time for it, so I'm not gonna promise anything about it. Road working trucks tends to have things like shovels on them. Yeah, so a side placeable surface is probably possible on the vehicles. It's like you could have a shovel hanging off the back or something, if that's if kind of like that's the extent of it. It is potentially possible. Yeah, I would have liked to show some of the other shelves off, but I think you get the gist. We have, let's pick up that steel shelf. So since we're not in the right Unity version, we don't have pre-placement on the wall. But yes, this is some of the new stuff. You can make you could make a new ladder of it. So make a little parkour climbing area or adventure center or something. So yeah, and all of the signs on the stores are going to be propagating text, and you have a display of like how it looks when it's disabled versus enabled, closing out, running its animations. If the storefronts are being separated apart, which specialties are going to be building the scales and registers, etc. It's gonna be it's probably going to be very neutral. So some of it is going to be as the store is right now, just in the regular workbench and available for anyone. When will all of this work be finished? Any ideas? As always, when it comes to release dates and estimations, I'm not gonna promise anything because things can change. It can go up and down. It can go really quickly suddenly because someone has a sprout of inspiration. Oh, this year, yeah, it's planned to kind of wrap up and move into like polish state and playtesting as soon as the technical stuff in Unity is done. And we can start kind of crunching this through and wrap a lot of these up because a lot of the base parts of it is done. There's just kind of extension of some of these functionalities. Getting Star Citizen vibes. Probably not that bad. So yeah, some of the professions are going to have more stuff to do. More decorative objects. A ton of it. I think it's like 30 odd something shelves in total, and it's like 40, 50 general decorative objects all in all, plus the other changes. And you saw a little bit of a sneak peek into some of the improved animal behaviors and the ambience upgrades and whatnot. It is also running a better ambience on music for depending on the region you're in, if you're in the desert or forest and mountain and so on. So we're going to be touching on that in like a world improvement stream, I guess you would call it. Once that is merged up and working. skill talent rework before or after 1.0. I'm hoping to be able to aim it for 1.0. Some of these things are just taking up a lot more time than we expected. But I will have more details on that later once we get this the cozy update out the door. So yeah, you know, best bet, stay tuned, keep an eye on Discord for any relative news or update posts or sneak peeks, because I do post some sneak previews or GIFs and whatnot on there. So yeah, make sure you keep an eye out for that. Considering this game is still fun to play after like 6 years, this game has Star Citizen beat in almost every way possible. Well, thank you very much for those kind words. In regards to the new store system, will we be able to sell and buy wood rock categories instead of buying 4 different types of items? Not at the moment. It requires a lot of technical upgrades to the store and be able to handle the differential prices for the same items, which it currently doesn't support. Or it doesn't support it well enough to be to do that. And I think it'll probably be something that I want to push for as soon as possible as a quality of life upgrade. It's even if the price, even if the actual value is set to the same, it is still considered 2 different input prices. A lot of the present problems with the game is people losing impetus or direction by the second golden age, end of tier 3. It would help if social activity and fun gets implemented well before to keep all the professions engaged and beyond just work. Yeah, and that has been part of why we want to put a bit more focus to the general ambience of the game. So having a more wholesome experience, and the whole freely placing of objects and decorative pieces across the board makes it more interactive and fun rather than just table done, plant on the floor done, and you know, that's it, I get points. So there's no true creativity in how to design, decorate, and poke around, which is it's something we felt has been missing quite a lot. Is it possible to mod a plane or a helicopter into the game? Theoretically. Asking if it's possible to mod them myself. I mean, purely on a technical standpoint, you could probably be able to do that if you're doing some shenanigans with the boat components. So one of the issues with vehicles in particular is that you can't really add new behavior scripts, because that would require a client update. But you can change the parameters that in scripts that exist. And boats, as an example, is using a set level for buoyancy and the elevation. So maybe you could do some tampering in there to get an extended behavior from the server to do, like, cause it to go above the water so it could kind of float in the air. And tinker around there to get that kind of working. But I wish you all the best. And there's probably a bunch of modders that would like to dive into it and tinker with it a little bit. So, you know, drop some ideas into the dev channels, and check around with the rest of the modding community. Speaking of boats, I keep seeing someone in the boat channel saying that the land vehicles falling through ferries when assets slowed. Yeah, it's a known issue because of the difference between the physics system dealing with land vehicles and physics system dealing with naval vehicles. Would it be possible to add new vehicles from a modding perspective? Absolutely. Land vehicles are a bit more tricky because we're using a third-party licensed script, so we can't share that openly. Like we can't redistribute it in the open mod source package for Eco, which is why it's locked behind the dev tier package, because then it's kind of it's kind of using the internal license because you get access to our source code. Will the trailer truck ever be released? We'll see. One of the delays with the trailer truck is I do want it to be an extended module of the regular truck, so I would like the container to be an actual part similar to the stream tractor harvester, for example. So you would have like the flatbed you slot in, and that will give you the flatbed storage, and then you bump that out and you drop in the cargo container, and then bam, you have that semi-trailer instead. So I didn't want to sort the semi-trailer up as a unique individual vehicle because I want it part of a modular structure, and it would be a whole bunch of extra work to first release it as a unique vehicle and then rework it into a module, because then we're going to have to deal with migrations and people's trucks disappearing, because it's going to get removed from code once it gets adapted to the truck instead. So yeah, as for modders, and so this basically be a flatbed plus / container on it. It would be the semi-trailer. It would just be a different, like the truck would morph into another type of truck, similar to how the steam tractor gets, a plow on it or a harvester in front of it and so on. Steam truck module for dump trucks. Yeah, there is a bunch of things there that we could do, and have like a gravel truck dump bed on the things, and I mean on the wish list of you're saying a war rig from Fury Road is possible. Let's not go all that far down the line. But yeah, one if you're looking at vehicles, let me know what you think. But we're gonna wrap up the stream here in a minute. But as a last kind of outro, another kind of quality of life thing I was thinking of with the truck is if you could dump the contents of the truck without leaving the truck in a physical way, similar to how you do it with the excavator or the skid steer. So like say you have dirt on it, you just reverse up to a stockpile or something and just interact with it backwards. Or along the road, you could just, dump the contents along as you're driving. Is it possible to add the parameter durability used per hour of use to all elevators in the future? I'll take a look at the once I've sorted out the these new items and objects and made sure that they are done for the tech tree and they are working and all of that is up to snuff. I'll take a look at the elevator and see what is going on, because it seems like I'm gonna need to look over how it deals with durability overall, because the current system for it isn't really a good one. I think it's working by like degrading by interaction and not per like actual time in use. We can mint currencies at the moment. Do we have any tools to destroy currency or manage them with more finesse? You have the treasury, and the treasury allows you to destroy currency. Still waiting for large porcelain large vases that can take on plants. Satsuki, keep an eye out for the next stream. We'll talk about plants and changes to decorative pieces for plants. Then, because it's not entirely ready, so I don't want to show some of that off yet. We want world traveling options to migrate from server to server. That is a bit rough. I know Kai was poking at it from the modding scene with the EM framework in mind, but I think that got put on a hiatus when the individual kind of put eco modding to a bit of a pause. What about animal husbandry? It'll be more of a dedicated stream post the Cozy update, because animal husbandry is planned for 1.0. So you'll have more animal interactions and all of that, like taming and new animals and so on. Just going through and making sure I didn't miss any anything huge. Will there ever be a new room type for basement / underground? Like if you play some industrial stuff, will it generate some house value? Probably not something that we're going to be looking at up to and including 1.0. But there's some food for thought and ideas for the future in there. Will placed perishables spoil? We are looking into how to deal with it and how to deal with the transformation of items that decay, and how they need to transform from one type to another. And we're also looking into, like, the refrigerator, for example, is gonna be, the goal is for it to be acting as an actual shelf life modifier. So if you put like a tomato in the fridge, it'll be acting as if you put the tomato inside, an ice box or the refrigerator as is. New from this round, some people are finding sea travel nauseous, especially due to the spinning constellation at night. I personally love it. Tunnels make me sick instead. Any visual options to help alleviate that motion sickness issue? That is kind of tricky, because one of the things, it might get better once we change out the rendering system, because it's gonna be affecting kind of visual perception of these things. Might not necessarily hit for the Cozy update, but there are a lot of graphical changes and that in mind, including stuff like looking over potential cloud changes and like the visual effects, skybox, and so on. But I know there was some input on when we changed out the curvature for the time scale. So when it transitioned from daytime to dusk to into nighttime, it's kind of having a little bit of a speed up process, so it's not staying in like a low sun dusk setting for a long time, which was really eye straining. Same thing for when you go from night to dawn to daytime, so you have kind of a quicker curve for that night into day and the day into night transition. So that discrepancy might be what's causing it, and doing something about that is tricky, because it's such a fundamental, like, passing of time sync. Zombie. As for being able to put your dishes on a table. Did you have any further expansion on that? Meals, yeah. It'll yeah. My brain just froze. Like, food. What is a non-raw food? Been tinkering so much with like the raw produce and whatnot. Give a shard taro. It's not containing the plate. The plate is not there yet. Ooh, that is a good one. Yeah, that thing doesn't have an actual 3D model consumption yet. There's no bottle for it. It's not jungle salad. It's salad something. Jungle campfire salad, or give sweet salad. I think they're gonna be missing bowls. Yeah. So that's gonna that I'll poke Mike with it. They are supposed to be rendering those as well. But yeah, you can anything that has a 3D asset to it. Just works. Seems fitting for the grill, right? Would love to see a bonus if we ate those off the table while seated. Yeah, it's something John has been wanting to get added as well, but and kind of poke that, but it is tricky to kind of figure out what we want bonus wise out of it, like more calories, slightly higher skill work. Now in actual, it just works, or is that a Todd Howard? It just works TM. I think it's part of the latter, maybe. Are they still being handled as items in code? Yeah, there is absolutely no transition. So they turn into like a fake world item as an item. So there is no unique world object code for these items. They are still just food items in their item script. Are you planning to add new meals? For the animal husbandry, we are going to be shifting around a lot in the food and consumable balance, but since we're going to be adding a lot new variation in the raw materials, so yeah, I think with those delicious pieces of food involved in this, I am gonna say thank you for me on this, and thank you all for watching. Thank you all for participating in the chat and popping questions of all sorts and arrays for me, because it is super enjoyable to see everyone being so stoked and just so enthusiastic with it. So if we mod in new items, do we need to add it as a world object? No, if you add a food item, or if you add a tool, and it has a 3D model for it, it'll just work as an item, as a placeable. But yeah, wish you all a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one, and I'll give some notification on Discord as usual for when that happens. We're gonna try to get a little bit of an ambiance / animal improvements and like world setting changing stream, probably like 2 weeks or something, and then we can run back to some of these things because they're gonna be fixed by then. And yeah, no, take it easy, stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.